Hello, everyone. Um, the topic that I'm going to speak about today, it's very close to my heart. I must mention that the last time when I spoke about something similar was 2 years ago when I was 8 months pregnant with my little boy. So here I am back after a few years and kind of tackling the same topic. I've obviously changed the slides now as things have changed in the last few years. So a bit about myself. I started my career about 11 years ago as a software engineer in Bangalore in India, and then started in a consulting company and then moved around a bit, relocated to the UK a few years ago to pursue my MBA, moved into product management and haven't looked back since then. So let's start. Can women have it all? It's an age-old debate, and I think I can see most of us here are women in the audience, and someone must have asked you at some point in your life, do you have it all? How do you manage? Especially after motherhood or after a wedding or something, after a big milestone, there's generally questions around, how are you managing? How's your day-to-day life? Is there a balance? Things like that. Very strangely, men are never asked this question. It's only us that have to answer. I've just taken 3 very strong female leaders who've left a mark in their careers, and I've kind of looked at what they had to say about this topic. Indra Nooyi, who was the ex-CEO of PepsiCo, all of us might be familiar of her. She strongly believes we cannot have it all. And she's actually given a TED talk about this a few years ago. You must watch it. And she's very strong in her opinions about this. Sheryl Sandberg, who's my personal hero, she feels quite differently about it. She wrote a book called Lean In a few years ago, if you've read it. She actually feels you can have it all, and she has justified why and why not. Kathy Engelbert, who recently stepped down, the ex-CEO of Deloitte, she says you can definitely have it all, but as defined by you. I did a little bit of research before this presentation and just looked into the landscape around us, around female leaders across the world, and what does the stats look like. Stats are not very exciting, unfortunately. So out of 197 heads of state, we only have 22 that are women. Of all the people in the parliament in the world, 13% are women only. Of the top 500 companies by revenues, only 21% are led by women. The wage difference, very important, between women and men in the same, let's say, in similar band is average around 20%. What's the problem? Now, again, this is taken from research and numerous articles and books that I have read in the last few years on this topic. Research says that women don't have enough role models. 53% of women actually drop out mid-career due to lack of a supportive role model, or let's say a career coach or a mentor or a sponsor. There is an ambition gap. Women don't dream big enough. They often question their own capabilities in spite of high credentials. Now, it's a very generalistic topic. I don't think I'm quite ambitious, to be very honest with you. But I have also seen, and you might agree, that when we interview a male and a female for a certain role, the man would generally ask for a number and be quite adamant about it. I'm talking about the salary here. The women, on the other hand, would generally ask for a range. Now, that tells you about personalities of how women and men kind of differ in general. And that's why it's this thing about ambition gap. Motherhood changes many things for women. It impacts the appetite for challenging roles, long working hours, business travel, etc., etc. 43% of women actually leave the workforce, traditional workforce, due to motherhood, and 74% of professional women will rejoin the workforce at any capacity. I recently became a mom, and I can tell you, I have friends around who've become mom with 1 or 2 or 3 kids, and the more your family grows, the less your career grows. That's how it is generally. Again, that's a very generalistic statement, but this is how it generally works, which is not right at all. But this is how it is globally. It's not data for the UK or for the US or for Europe. This is generally how it is in most part of the world. Sexism still exists at workplace, unfortunately. I don't want to dig deeper into this topic. It's very, very sensitive. But as we all know, that's still there, and that's actually one of the reasons why a lot of women go out of workforce. Now, how do we solve this? I don't think anybody has actually solved, or anybody can solve this whole thing about can we have it all, or can we have the perfect balance? But let's look at a few themes of how we can attempt to solve this. You can have it all, but you might not have all at once. My mom said that to me a few years ago when I was having this discussion with her. She's a working mother, and when I was talking about having a family and what might happen to my career after that, she said to me that don't attempt for perfection. You will have everything. You know, you have this checklist of things you want, and you will have all of those things. You might not have all on the same day. You might have some very bad days, you might have some very good days. And that's how it is, how it'll be balanced. I think the long-term planning is super important in terms of your career as well as your personal choices. Having it all also depends on the depth and intensity of a woman's commitment in her career. I mean, I'm pretty sure if we do a random survey in this hall, our definitions of having it all will be very different, person to person. My definition might be completely different from yours. So I think it's highly dependent also on a woman's commitment towards her career, what she really wants out of her career.